Trump could be taking Letitia James to the Supreme Court. This is the first I've heard of this. It just showed up in the news recently. We'll get to those articles, but first, welcome to Doug in Exile. Thanks for getting me over 300,000 subs, but mostly for just the amazing amount of watch hours you've given me. You guys are watching things. I'm doing my best here to bring you the news that directly affects the electing of Trump this coming fall. We invite all happy patriots to subscribe. Okay, so here's the first headline I find. This is from Reason Magazine. New York's civil lawsuit against Trump is unconstitutional. So this is after Judge Engoron, which they have not made any formal pronouncement yet of the case is concluded, but we got to still see what they actually charge Trump with. And then Trump is starting to say this is unconstitutional. It's the first time his legal team has started saying that because they're communicating something to you. They're going to fight this to the Supreme Court. Here's the Business Insider, which is a communist rag, saying Trump has laid the groundwork for a U.S. Supreme Court challenge in his New York civil fraud case, says experts. Here's a few bullet points from the Business Insider. In 3 years of litigation, Donald Trump has never opposed New York's civil fraud case on constitutional grounds, but in spirited closing arguments Thursday, Trump's lawyer raised multiple constitutional issues. The argument suggests Trump will appeal a verdict all the way to this U.S. Supreme Court. Good. In spirited closing arguments Thursday, a defense lawyer told a Manhattan judge that the extraordinary penalties New York seeks in the state's $370 million fraud lawsuit against former President Donald Trump and his real estate empire violate the U.S. Constitution. And they do, I believe. That word, the Constitution, hasn't cropped up often, if at all, in the long history of the New York Attorney General Letitia James's pursuit of Trump. Laying the groundwork for a SCOTUS Supreme Court challenge is a smart move, according to attorney Mark Frazier Skoll. So now all the legal punditry are coming out, and these are multiple articles coming out online now. They're saying, look, his legal team started bringing up that this is unconstitutional, because this might be the only way that Trump can get things right if all of the systems in New York are corrupt. After a 3-year history of futile defenses, including Trump's repeatedly rejected claim that he's a victim of a political attack, which is true, he is a victim of a political attack, a constitutional challenge is one of the most reasonable and promising legal moves Trump has tried, Skoll said. So that's good. This is a good tack, good strategy. Quote, this type of claim is the way the case should have been defended all along, unquote, said Skoll, a former financial crimes prosecutor for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, who also worked as a public corruption investigator for the New York Inspector General. Instead, his lawyers must challenge the constitutionality of executive law, that's 6312. The 2-paragraph New York statute that has empowered Letitia James, over the course of 6 years to develop her fraud case against Trump and bring it to trial. This law lets a judge shut down a business and banish its executives from the state if an attorney general proves persistent fraud and criminality, as James has alleged of Trump. So they're saying that whole system that allowed Letitia James to bring this case in the first place and exact those penalties, a fine and kicking him out of the state, that those are unconstitutional. That's what this is going to be about. But it also, if you think about it, helps all New York businesses from having this done to them by a political hack. On their way to the U.S. Supreme Court, Trump's lawyers would first need to exhaust their New York State appellate options. That's going to all the appeals courts offered within New York. If the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals, ultimately upholds Executive Law 6312 as constitutional, at least as it applies to Trump, the defense can ask the U.S. Supreme Court to hear the case, and that will be the best grounds, just to say, look, this whole thing was unconstitutional. To remove the political influence in that law system, Trump has to be the point man, and he has to take all of the flack and bullets for all of us to straighten it out. I'm Doug in Exile.